right, Jonathan, welcome to the stage. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Got on mute.
So sorry. I thought I was prepared.
Yeah, can never be too prepared. All right, feel free to share your screen and take it away. We're super excited to learn what you're building.
Awesome. Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name's Jonathan, and today I'm presenting my project, Soroban Learn. Soroban Learn is an online platform that allows new developers to easily and quickly learn how to write their first few smart contracts on Soroban and lowers the barrier of entry for those developers. So let's see here. First, let's go over the problem that I faced as a front-end developer trying to enter the realm of smart contract development. The setup can be challenging for new developers and time-consuming. So installing Rust, the CLI, and getting your IDE configured for the first time just to learn what Soroban is about. And installing Rust may seem easy to some, but I did a quick search on Stack Overflow, and there were more questions than you can count of just installing Rust. And so that can be discouraging for some users. So the next problem is not aware that something went wrong until the end. And what I mean by that is they can follow a tutorial on how to write a smart contract, but then when they go to build their contract and the output is something different than what the tutorial is saying that they should get, they're not quite sure where they went wrong during that tutorial, and can be troublesome to trace back and figure out where they went wrong. And then the last problem, and I'm guilty of this a little bit, or a lot really, is copying and pasting what's in the tutorial without actually understanding what they're doing. So they may get the end result correct, but they're not quite sure. They didn't really learn anything. They just learned how to copy and paste from a tutorial. So the solution, Soroban Learn. And what Soroban helps how it helps the experience is you get to skip the setup process. So everything is in the browser. No need to configure an IDE or install Rust. Each step through the tutorial is validated and checked for accuracy. So that way, if you mess up on a particular step, the platform will educate you what you're doing wrong and guide you in the right direction. And then each step, instead of a very long tutorial, each step is broken up into smaller handleable pieces, and it explains the how and why of what you're doing. So the goal is that you're actually learning along the way. And this is just a screenshot of the desktop and mobile view. And so you can see here on the left, you have some instructions of the step that you're wanting to do. And I probably should have included an actual step here instead of the intro summary. But you have a guide here as well that will show you how far along you are in the tutorial or the exercise, file explorer for the different files you'll be working with, an IDE on the right, and then a console for any commands or outputs that need to be ran. And yeah, that's it for the presentation. I went through a little bit faster than I intended, but if anyone has any questions.
Amazing. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for presenting and being so on time. We do indeed have some questions for you. So Morgan here says, love the design. And also says, I think on one of the comments that you mentioned, 90% of all developers out there do this. I think the copy and paste thing. He does have a question too. How does Soroban Learn validate each step?
So yeah, it's built into the logic of the platform. So the IDE isn't actually compiling your Rust code. So we have step-by-step instructions. Again, I wish I had a screenshot of that, an example. So when you click to go to the next step, it's going to validate the old state of what was in the IDE and then what you've added. And so that way it can check to make sure that that step contains the expected input or code that you need to get to the next step. So hopefully that answers that question.
Awesome. All right, Morgan is typing. So in the meantime, I'll ask the second question from Matthias. Jonathan, can you comment on the different learning curves from, let's say, NEAR, as you come from AHA, and Soroban? By the way, were you involved in Ryan? R-A-E-N?
Rain. Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah, I was part of Rain at one point, and the learning curves from coming from NEAR to Soroban. I mean, I think, I don't know if you mean the differences between the two, but I find the challenges of both being the same, like trying to learn NEAR and trying to learn how to write contracts on Soroban, because you have the same challenges of installing Rust. And I also, I've been involved with Stacks in the past, which Stacks has their own smart contract language. And it's really just all of, for me anyways, coming from predominantly a front-end developer, trying to figure out how something works without being able to see it. I learned, with front-end development, if you have something wrong with your CSS, you can really see something is out of place. But with Rust and other back-end languages, if you will, it's kind of hard to for me to follow a tutorial, just the way my brain works. So anyways, I'm not sure if I'm answering that correctly, but that's kind of the learning curve for me coming from being a front-end developer anyways.
Yeah, very interesting. I think Matthias is typing too, and people feel free to request to speak. It's easier if you ask a question yourself. But I'll go on to the next one. Like Silence says, loving it. Lou says, nice. So people are really giving some love to your project. That's awesome. Meru says, is this already in production? Can I use it?
I do have a development link. It's very early and broken. I can share that though, and you can play around with it. Just know that it's very alpha. It's it's gonna break on you. So, but yeah, I'm more than happy to share that in the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, please do. And I think also like your project page. I think we have time for one last question from Morgan, and then the rest, please feel free to answer in the chat. Do you do this by comparing the strings or the compiled executable functionality?
So for now, for the three, I have three. I should have mentioned too. There's three core projects that I'm going to launch with, and for those three, they're just comparing strings. So there is some giveaway, like it's line spacing and stuff. If you add some extra line breaks, is fine, but if you're typing in a particular string from the tutorial, it's just checking string to string on those.
Awesome. There's another question from Matthias in the chat. So Jonathan, if you're able to answer that there, I think we are, just because I want to be wary of time, we are going to go to our next project.
So my project is a developer use case. It's not a business use case, and it's about the AssemblyScript Soroban SDK for building smart contracts for Soroban using the AssemblyScript language. So first, I would like to say some words about me. So I'm also known as Soniso. My name is Christian. I'm a Stellar SDK developer since 2018. I started with the iOS SDK, and in the meantime, I'm also the creator and maintainer of the Flutter and PHP Stellar SDKs. And now this is my newest work, is the AssemblyScript Soroban SDK. So as you all probably know, Soroban is a smart contracts platform created by Stellar that is built on a WebAssembly runtime and programming languages that can be theoretically used to build or to write smart contracts are languages that can compile to WASM code. So, like for example, Rust, AssemblyScript, SIG, or TinyGo. Currently, we have the official Rust SDK from Stellar, and my idea was to build a second SDK, the AssemblyScript SDK, so that developers, especially web developers, who have a hard time learning Rust, can try and experiment and build smart contracts by using AssemblyScript, which is a dialect of TypeScript. So it's a language that is easy to learn for web developers. So, and the AssemblyScript SDK provides the foundation that smart contract needs to be deployable on the Soroban platform, and to access the functionality provided by the Soroban platform, such as to be able to accept imports, decode them, store data, call other contracts, communicate with the host functions or the host functionality, and handle host objects, things like this. And it supports the newest Soroban preview version number 8. And it implements most of the official build your own SDK specification, which you can find in the Soroban docs. And it has a lot of example contracts available. Yes, and what we want to do next is to add more complex contracts, so that developer can learn even more from this new contracts. And I would like to show you here in the browser. So first, here are the Soroban docs, and you can see there's a chapter for build your own SDK with the proposal what the SDK should implement. And we started last year, and there all these features, or most of them, are implemented, and you can find it. The SDK can be found as an open source project in GitHub. And yes, you can see here is a description on how to install the SDK, how to write the contract, what is needed so that the contract can be deployed. And it describes the functionality that can be used to implement smart contracts with AssemblyScript. Also, it contains a list of examples. So it starts with basic examples and has then more complex examples. Like, for example, the add example, in my opinion, this is the easiest one, or the simplest one. I will show you this. And then you have all the examples that are also provided by the Rust SDK. So like you can see here, there are this example contracts. And yes, there are some missing. And this is what we want to build in the next time. So in the next months or so. Couple of months. And yes, and these examples can be found in the examples repository. It's an extra repository. And each example is described. So you can see here are the examples. And it also has a description, general description. And if you go to, for example, to the add example, it is described here how you can run the example, how you can deploy it, for example, locally, and then test it. And it also describes what it means. So what this programming or what the implementation of the example means. And let's have a look. For example, here is the smart contract. It's a very small one, and it just adds two integer 32 values. And what it does, it defines a function which is called add, and accept as input this integer 32 values as raw values. And this must be decoded into real primitives, into real integer 32 values, and this is done by the SDK. So you can use this function to integer 32, and it will give you the primitive, the integer 32 primitive, and you can then they can be added and can be encoded again into the raw value, which is then returned from this contract. So
Little time warning.
oh yeah, okay, I'll try to do it. So what you need to do is just install this or clone this repository. It's very easy to start it. And you can see here all the examples. So we could go to the add example. And now we can, in this add example, we can check the description. And so this is already installed. So on my computer, this installs the Soroban CLI. And then we can just install the SDK.
We're a little over time, so yeah, wrap it up.
Okay, and now it's one second. Now I compile it. So this the compilation will give you a WebAssembly a file which contains all the information needed so that it can be deployed. So like the metadata and all the definition of this function, all the stuff, and then you can just invoke it. So and then it will should work then. So I just invoked the contract, and as you can see, it gives me the result 6 here. So it converts all these values. It prepares the compiled file. It deploys it, and you can invoke it, and it gives the result. So I would like to show you much more stuff, but time is over. So if you have any question, please.
Yeah, this looks amazing. I'm letting, there's one question here from Morgan, so we have time for one question, and I'll invite him to speak to add it.
Hey everyone, awesome job, Sinesso. Quick question about the environment. So do you have full coverage right now in the SDK of all the latest SDK host functions?
Yes, we have. You can see it here in the SDK. There are all these libraries, let's say like this, and each of them has the functions that the host functions define. For example, ledger, it's a simple one. So you can see here it covers all the host functions. And wraps them into more easy to use things, so that you don't have to it decodes values for you and encodes them and prepares them so that it is very easy to use for developers.
Awesome. It looks like Morgan already left, but he says that Sinesso truly a mad genius, going full live demo from environment setup to running code. So seems like silence, and like people are very excited about what you're building. And I think this will be a very, very useful tool for the ecosystem as well, like once it's all ready. So thank you so much, Sinesso. I think we are on time.
Haciendo Stellar. Some of you know, we was born 1 year ago. And how did the project came to be? So we all know Stellar, but in our case, as we went deeper in the Stellar ecosystem and started to learn more about it, we realized that there is many projects in Latin America. And based on our professional career in Spain and Latin America, we saw that there is an opportunity to grow this community in its own language with all that it entails. We understand that it is not just a matter of language, but of culture, values, idiosyncrasies, etc. As a basic example, again, we can say that in the United States, everybody has a bank account, for example, but this is not necessarily the case in Latin America. We can talk about also the inflation, the currency inability, etc., etc. So, and as anyone knows, we have the very important highlight that the fact that in Latin America is one of the regions with the highest adoption of rates of blockchain technology. So now, what did we do before the SCF? As you can see,
Are you able to move the slides?
Yes, we're trying it with the phone. Can we pass it for us, Anke, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes, great. Thank you. What did we do before the SCF? As you can see, we have already done many things. As we have created a professional website with more than 100 blog posts. We have created a Discord community over 50 active members, and we have organized over 10 virtual meetings with the community, among other things. Yeah, okay, thank you. From the SCF validation, we have already launched a new Haciendo Stellar brand. We also have renewed the second version of the website. You can all join it at any moment. And we have activated the new Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube social media accounts. You can also navigate through them if you want at any moment. And what are we going to do from now on? So our next step is to establish a dedicated team to create more and better content, making it clear that we can support our mission in these three main points. We want Stellar's current projects in Latin America to be successful. We want there to be a new or more Stellar projects in the region. And we want Stellar to position itself as a leader in Spain and Latin America. That's our key 3 points. And that's all. I hope it's okay with the time. I hope I summed it up for you all. You can find supplementary information in our website, and also we already have some information, questions and answers in the SCF Discord. And thank you all for your time. I don't know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for presenting. Looks like people are really excited about what you're building, especially Latin American community here. Comment says, great work. Haciendo Stellar, all of our team is Argentinian and really benefit from what you're doing. And also Carla says, like, shout out to Haciendo Stellar. Great initiative and has been very helpful for us, Meru. So super excited to see this love here. Ruth loves the new branding. Alejo loves the design. Matthias has a question. Can you comment if you have reached out already to projects building on Soroban for the LATAM market? Wallets come to mind.
Okay, from Matías, y vamos a trabajar en un proyecto Soroban. Hi, Matías. Yes, of course. Soroban is part of Stellar for us. So we're open to work Soroban projects. Yes. Already we didn't talk with anyone, but
yeah, we are hoping to have a one-to-one conversation with you guys, you all, whenever you want, through the website, through our contact, through the Discord. So
of course
we are building we're just in the beginning. So hoping to hear to us and learn from you, and of course, yeah, it's our intention to also work with Soroban.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it seems like some of the projects here too, like we have a lot of like projects that are based in Latin America, so definitely connect with them through the project channel. I highly recommend it and see how you can kind of highlight each other. Also, Silence says, I'm in contact with quite a few LATAM market projects. I think, already in our community. Great work, by the way. Previously there wasn't a big Spanish speaking community, so this is, really important to get this going. Morgan asks another question. Would this be the first location-based community projects, I guess, like geo-focus?
Spanish language in all the locations.
Yeah, we were talking about mainly in Spain and Latin America. So it's the Spanish-speaking, horizon, the Spanish-speaking.
Yes.
Awesome. Any more questions? Well, in the lack of any questions for now. Oh, Matthias has one. All right. I would like to also prepare an interview schedule for non-Spanish project building on Soroban. Can you post-process with either CC or voice layover? Oh, that's for someone else. Sorry. No, that's not for you. Can you? Yeah, sorry. Please answer.
Okay, Matías. Yes, contact us anytime and talk about this. Yes.
Awesome. I love when like the project pitches can actually bring people closer together. Very exciting for this. So, team, like, what is the next kind of like events or like content or things that you're trying to plan for as you're kind of like looking at like, you know, onboarding folks to Soroban and Stellar?
I didn't listen. Are you talking in English now? Yes. We didn't listen you, okay?
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, what is the next step? Like, what is there a particular content that you're planning, or like an event, or yeah?
We will focus on projects, reviews, and we want to work side to side with the project. So this is more focus in the next month.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing your progress.
Yeah, we also want to give a space on maybe a landing page or whatever, personalized to every project, ongoing now in the Stellar ecosystem. So we can give them a space in our website and also in our social media, and also for the new projects coming in. We're hoping to help them to a very good landing in the project, and also and specifically and especially in the Spanish-speaking regions.
Awesome. Well, for anyone in the audience, I hope you heard that. So if you have a Spanish-speaking audience, definitely like reach out to Haciendo Stellar team and vice versa, right? I think there's a lots of folks actually in the audience right now, so that's super exciting. And let's get this going. I'd love to see your progress. All right. Well, time's up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think we are ready for our next project, Stellar DAO Discord bot.
Good. Yep. So hi, I'm Tim from Stellar. If you don't know me, I'm building Stellar DAO Discord bot with Julian. It's going to be some tooling to basically be able to run a Discord server as a DAO using tokens on Stellar. We have a basic deployment right now. It's using a Discord feature called linked roles, which allows you to link a Stellar account to your Discord account. And the problems we're trying to solve, people need a way to incentivize others to work towards joint projects and DAOs. And so we are building this bot. Yep. We're linking Stellar wallets to Discord accounts, which I'll show you in just a second here. Might as well do it now. Let me change the screen I'm sharing just a moment. Can you guys see that?
Yes, I see Discord. Yes.
All right. So basically, the idea is that this bot can be redeployable or joinable to other servers. So I just made an invite to my other account to our Discord server. I'll just show you quickly how it works. So basically, in order to get verified and get access so we can control different permissions in Discord and in the DAO through what assets on Stellar somebody holds. So instead of like a CAPTCHA bot, we issue a default asset to the user's wallet. So basically, you just start the flow, clicking that link, and then you sign into your Discord account. Just a second, sorry. It's going to ask you for permissions to be able to update your connection metadata for this application and access your username. So once you authorize that, you're going to be asked to link your wallet. Right now, it's only on testnet, not FutureNet, and you need to have an account that's been funded by FriendBot on testnet. So I've got one here in Trader. So once you have that, you click on Trader, it's going to ask you to link your wallet. So once you share your public key, it creates a authorization token, which this is to verify ownership of your Stellar account. It's basically just some information used by our app, like your state data, to identify which session you're signing in from and your wallet. So that's not actually a transaction that goes on chain or anything. It is verified simply on our backend. So once you link to the application, you can claim the default role, which is real simple. It's just an asset called default role on testnet right now. Our plan is to have these basically like an authorization required clawbackable asset, so that the issuer has full control over it, with the goal somehow of having the issuer be a Soroban contract, which isn't possible yet, but we have some workarounds. So once I approve that, it says go back to Discord to complete the process, which is over here. So then you go up here and you click linked roles, because you have to accept your role. So since this is just a test, there's just one role, but usually you'd have a bunch of roles. So like an admin gets an admin role, a moderator role, so on and so forth. Once you accept that, it's connected your Stellar account or Community DAO account, which is your Stellar account, to your Discord. And you can see we now have access to other channels.
Little time warning.
Okay, I'm almost done. Let me change back to my slide. All right, so our timeline is sometime in May. We're going to allow this bot to work on mainnet using classic assets, and then change our test bot to be on FutureNet instead of testnet, so that we can start testing our Soroban contracts. Soroban contracts consist of some NFT token contracts and other token interoperability contracts that interact with the Stellar Asset Contract, the SAC, in order to facilitate voting, membership, and proposals. Example of a proposal would be like nominating a new member to the DAO or things of that nature, or funding. It could be almost anything that's a valid contract. We're hoping to have various methods of voting, so possibly having weighted voting, as well as just, as yes, no, abstain. So majority wins. And basically those proposals, when they're deployed and they're initialized, you would set those options during that period. After that, our goal is to possibly have a subscription model for people to be able to join this bot to their servers, so that it could be deployed with custom assets, NFTs, and existing projects on Stellar. And the bot can also be redeployable. You can find our code on GitHub at github.com/CommunityDAO. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. We are a little bit out of time, but I have one question, and then you can ask the rest in the chat, if that's all right. From Morgan, do you see any problems with 1,000 trust line cap?
there's a thing called what you mean 1,000 trust lines per account?
Morgan, do you want to
Uh,
clarify? Yes. Yes. Morgan says yes.
I mean, no, not really. I don't. Because I'm already pretty strongly involved in the NFT community in Stellar. I have multiple Stellar accounts. None of them, I haven't reached that cap on any of them. And I have very high activity on my accounts. So I don't see that being an issue. I see another question there.
Yeah. I mean, we are out of time, Tim, because you went a bit long.
I don't know. We haven't really thought about that. No problem.
Yeah, so why don't you enter these in the chat, and then we can go on to our next project. Thank you so much,
Sounds
Tim. That
good.
was an awesome presentation. I'm really excited to see this as well in the SCF, maybe eventually, you know. We can
Yes,
maybe
that's
collaborate.
the
So let me know
original
once you're ready.
Yeah,
What?
absolutely. I said that was my original motivation for this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's keep in touch. All right, so I think next up,
well, this wallet has on and off ramps for many countries in Latin America, and it is aimed for Spanish-speaking migrants, especially. So for the US and for other countries in Latin America, that's the main purpose of our app. So the product is available both on the Google Play Store and the App Store, and there's plenty of functionality already built into it. As I was saying, you can deposit, you can withdraw, or you can send within Stellar wallets or within Meru wallets, and also to bank accounts in almost 13, 14 countries. You can also pay utility bills for a selected group of countries, and we are working on a connection to a debit card that will allow an easier way to spend the balances on our wallet. The wallet is denominated in USDC. Okay. A little bit of the milestone that we have achieved. So as I said, launched in August. So it's a little bit more than 8 months ago, and we have more than 10,000 downloads on this is the Android store. We have a lot less on the Apple store, but I wanted to share this. And most importantly, we have 435 reviews with a pretty decent score. So that makes us very proud, and we put a lot of emphasis onto our customer service. To the right, we have the total number of transactions, both, okay, in monetary value. So we have crossed $1.1 million in transactions. And one thing that I wanted to point out is that our average transaction size is $42. And that is very, very good for us because we feel that we are fulfilling our purpose of bringing a very cost-effective way, even for smaller transactions. If you use the normal rails, it's good. If you are making large amount transactions, but when the amount starts to get lower and lower, alternatives like Meru are really making a big difference. So it makes us very proud, and if we feel that we're fulfilling our mission. Lastly, I wanted to mention how do we use Stellar. We of course, as I mentioned, the wallet is denominated in USDC. We have had also collaborations with the YUSDC from Stellar. For our non-custodial functionality, we use, of course, sponsor reserves, fee bump transactions, multi-signatures, and the SEP30 for key recovery. We have one rail into Colombia that is using full Stellar infrastructure. So we are issuing, well, not we, a sister company also owned by the same founders, Colombian-based, is issuing a Colombian peso token, and transactions going in up to the Meru wallet and down to Colombian pesos are happening via the decentralized exchange with USDC to tabletop transactions. And of course, we have the payments and path payments strict receive and path payments strict send. So pretty much committed to Stellar, working on this for more than almost 2 years, I think, and in the market since August last year. This is the team. Amilcar is on the call, and if you have any technical questions, you will probably have to go to him. And Yoser is not joining us today, and this is the three people founding team. That's it.
Awesome, thank you so much. I was happy. I think some people were able to see the presentation, others not. If not, you can rewatch it on the recording as well. There are some questions for you, Carlos. Everyone says like, good job, Meru, like super excited for this. Let me see. And then Tim's Silence asks, my question is, could you give some examples of the providers you're using for your payment rails? Really love the project.
Providers of payment rails. So we have, and for every country, we try to have at least two partners, because you never know, might be issues of liquidity, there are technical issues. So we always try to have at least two providers for every country. So for instance, we are partnering for let me see. Let me think of an example. Okay, one that covers a lot is for instance Prime Trust. Prime Trust is one of our partners for this, especially for the on-ramp. We are also using FacilitaPay from Brazil as another partner that will help us, and they settle into crypto immediately, so it makes it our life much easier from the operational standpoint.
Awesome. That's great to know. Let me see. We have another question here from Matthias. Can you comment a bit on the legal and regulatory hurdles you've been identified and run into being a global product?
Yes, it's a challenge, and very different countries in Latin America have different regulations. One thing is that we decided to incorporate in the US because it's much easier and it has a much better clarity in this aspect. And that's to say a lot, because we know that not even the US, the regulation is 100% there. But we decided there because getting access, for instance, to money transmitting licenses is much cheaper and much easier in the States, even though we have to go through every state to do it, or you have to go through partners, but it's a much better process than in Latin America. So that's the reason why we incorporated in the US instead of incorporating in one of the Latin American countries.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that the similar question here. I noticed you have a US corporation. Have you considered any legal issues that might arise of being considered a money transmitter or publish your AML rules?
Yeah, sure. So yes, we are trying to be over careful with compliance. So we over comply other than try to comply the minimum. So we are very, very careful with that. And so we don't necessarily do everything on our own, but we partner with an ally that has the licenses, etc., to allow us to perform the services. So for instance, the bank account and the debit card that I was mentioning briefly before, of course, this is with a licensed bank and with the technology providers that have everything everything in place for us to be able to provide the service.
Awesome. Let's see, we have time for one more question. Carlos, what would you say is your advantage to RTM? Why would I choose, this is Matthias's question, why would I choose Meru over RTM, for instance?
It's a very similar product. We are offering the possibility, and again, our main emphasis is to try to offer our value proposition, that is to save, to spend, and to send. So RTM, as I believe, it's very focused on sending only, and we have like at least the aspiration to be a full financial services offering for Spanish-speaking migrants in the US or in any other part of Latin America and their families. So that's our main purpose. So yes, it's a challenge to continue to search for differentiation, and I'm not sure whether RTM is a non-custodial wallet. So that would be one of our main differentiation points. And that is something that we are strongly pushing towards, to be non-custodial, to really fulfill the promise of being of giving control to the individual of their money.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for explaining it. I think we are on time, but there are some more questions in the chat. Obviously, I think we had a few technical difficulties, but definitely please also share the video with me so I can kind of edit it into the recording and put it out here. We have a few questions from Silence. This is pretty cool. How far do you plan to develop the Oracle? Will you have other data than price feeds?
Yeah, I think, the Oracle itself, the basic smart contract for the Oracle can go a long way. Not just price feeds, but historical data, all kinds of financial data can be queried in there. The key to the Oracle, obviously, is the data that goes into it. That has to be vetted and qualified. I can see a lot of exchanges probably developing oracles, that kind of thing.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me see. Do we have another question here? Any more questions? Otherwise, we're a bit out of time. I definitely think, Lua, share the video here so that people can still watch it afterwards, because there were some people that weren't able to view Discord.
Yep, I'll share the YouTube link in the chat.
Okay, hello everyone. Sorry for the difficulties. I'm going to present DYET to even test. So the goal of this project is to create a fuzzer or automatic test generation for Soroban smart contracts. So the problems that we're trying to solve are basically the hardships of writing tests. So writing tests is time consuming. Writing comprehensive test takes significant time and effort. There are many complex scenarios. Designing tests for all possible cases and vulnerabilities is challenging. And there's also the aspect of human error. Manual testing is prone to oversight and incomplete coverage. And we also want to make sure that developers spend more time developing the smart contracts and not worrying about if the smart contracts are safe or not. Okay, so the initial idea was to use reinforcement learning to create this model that would generate tests, but we found out, not having enough foresight, there were some difficulties that would be really hard to overcome. But at the same time, GPT-4 got released, and when I tried it, it was really amazing what it could do regarding generating code or writing tests, really. So we've been able to achieve better results this way in much less time and much less effort. So we decided to move forward with using GPT-4. Next slide. Okay. But using this new technology, the product that can be built is not only a fuzzer or automatic test generation, it can be a full-on chatbot that answers questions about Soroban, that generates code, that refactors code, and the UI can be very similar to ChatGPT with the addition of uploading a Soroban project or importing Soroban project from a GitHub repository. How do we want to achieve this? We want to build agents and tools based on GPT-4 that can search the Soroban documentation, execute Soroban contracts, adjust their answers based on the results and errors from contract execution. So try now GPT-4, even for other programming languages. Sometimes it can do some small syntax errors, but when I feed it the error, it's always been able to fix its errors and produce code that actually works. And we would also like to transfer knowledge from documented Web3 hacks and vulnerabilities to Soroban. So if you check out the DeFi Hacker Labs, these guys, they they collect information about Web3 hacks, and they also produce a lot of educational content, how to write safe contracts so that people wouldn't do the same mistakes as someone else before. What have we done so far? So we've experimented with GPT-4 to generate tests, refactor code, and find possible failure cases in a simple Soroban contract, and it worked really well. And then we've also created an agent that can search through the Soroban documentation depending on the given task and then execute this task. Since I don't have API access to GPT-4 right now, I can only access it through ChatGPT. Building the agent, I had to use the previous model, which is still pretty good, but it's making much more mistakes than GPT-4. And so demo. So I actually wanted to show you guys the agent. So I can just read. I can just read its output because you can't see it on my screen. So what I've done, I've built a agent based on the GPT models, but right now it's only using the GPT 3.5 model. So I gave it a bash tool so it can execute terminal commands. And I've also created a Soroban documentation tool that enables the agent to search through Soroban documentation. And I gave it task and I prompted it like, find out how to create a new Soroban project and create a new Soroban project in the following folder. And then, so I'm using this framework called LangChain, and they abstract a lot of these routines, how to make these agent use tools. And so I can read the output of the agent. So I need to find out how to create a new Soroban project and then create it. So then action to choose is Soroban documentation, and action input, how to create a new Soroban project. So then it searches the Soroban documentation, and it found some information from the Soroban documentation, and it printed out this information. And then the agent said, I now know how to create a new Soroban project. So then it chose action bash, and action input is cargo new -- lib space my project. And it created, basically this is the command to create a new Soroban project.
Awesome. Feel free to share like a screenshot or something in the chat.
Oh yeah, okay.
Get a visual of what you're working on. And we can also see if we can get a recording or something to add it.
Yeah, I can add it in the chat right now. Yeah, so feel free to ask questions. I can also go through some other tests that I've done.
Awesome. So does anyone have any questions? And Matusz just posted something in the chat.
Yeah, so that's the output from the agent.
I can't open it up anyway. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I can also share some other outputs. So for example, here's one.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really can't wait when I receive the access to GPT-4, because the GPT-4 model is much better, and the task that GPT-3 can't perform, GPT-4 was able to solve them perfectly. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this new technology that we have access to right now, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, well, awesome. Thank you so much, Matusz, for explaining kind of what you're working on, really working on the edge of innovation here with both Soroban and AI, right? I think that's super exciting. But also like a lot of people on my team have been kind of trying it out, and I think like it's only going to get better, like you're saying. So very excited to see this live, as many are saying here. So if you also if anyone has any more questions, like please ask in the chat and you can feel free to answer. We are going on to our next project now.
Let's go. Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Nicolas. My co-founder Paulo. We're going to present Kometpay today and the progress that we have made so far. So when we first applied to the SCF, that was round 10. We only had an idea and a genuine will to help people with simpler and cheaper financial services. And with all the blockchain industry's disruption and several changes gone through the beginning of the year, today we're happy to finally say that we're weeks, if not days, from launching our MVP, collecting with our users that we have been closely working with to get this product to market. So the merits and the resilience of the Stellar network are evident to all of us here. And we're leveraging it to take blockchain to the heart of communities that can benefit the most from it. So we pride ourselves in building, above all, a company that works for the betterment of communities. I'm sure you are all aware of the problems of the remittances, or many of you who have been working with cross-border payments, and the problem of, or the will of working towards a project that is giving a much cheaper corridor. It's of course at the core of Kometpay. And so the product that we have today has been the result of consistent consumer discovery, and our vision is to build a brand to become the all-in-one solution for Latino migrants, wherever they are. And at the core of this brand identity remains a genuine desire to help people. We want to redefine how cross-border financial support is delivered, understanding, of course, that it is not a one-fit-all solution. We want to be the ally to all types of solutions, whether it is the migrant who migrates to help their family back home, or who is saving up to retire themselves back home, or who wants to invest in multilateral investments, or to simply buy property. And so these are the two features that we're launching with, the traditional money transfer business and a corridor and a voucher system. We are leveraging Stellar on both features using Stellar's anchor systems. And also, we're currently working with a chain of pharmacies and a chain of local supermarkets to integrate this voucher system. Also on the pipeline, we have another 10 stores that will be varying, of course, from utility payments, healthcare provision, education, property investments, and among a lot of others. And the partnership network that we're building speaks directly to the heart of these communities. We understand that this is what affects people's lives directly. So we have a lot of interesting points for discussion, both on the voucher function and the money corridor, and we are happy to dive deeper, whichever you like. So please send questions our way. Sorry, I didn't give you the heads up there, Anke. Here, this would be sort of like the redeemable voucher feature that we're building, and how we're leveraging different partners in sort of like a gift card option that gives users control fund allocation, and it's a very easy method for even the senior population, and it's instant availability, does not require any banking accounts for those who join Kometpay. And the traditional money transfer business, which will also be giving a USDC account to those in Colombia to fight against the currency volatility and devaluation. And it will be as simple as sending a text message, and it will be literally creating this the account identity with the user's phone number.
Like if I can just chime in also, like looking at Matthias' question, like we actually started engaging in this in building this partner network in Colombia right at the beginning, like even before starting developing the actual application, because we saw that there were a lot of potential alternatives, like simply speaking in terms of like money transferring app and like smart wallet and things like this. And we focused initially on the partner network because the way we were envisioning it, it was going to be more of like using the partners as ATMs in a way, so that people could cash out at this partner shop and we would send the businesses the equivalent into, you know, their Colombian bank account. But then like we pivoted as well, of course, based on a lot of like customer and user integration, especially on the sending side, and said, hey, like we would like to see these features. And the way we're reaching out to businesses is simply seeing, okay, let's see what the demographic of the people that receive remittances use the money for, like what businesses do they go to. Like, of course, there might be some shops rather than others that would make a lot more sense for that community with a, you know, within those communities that receive the most remittances. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, at the time, the MoneyGram model was not out yet when we first like applied to this program. It was gonna be like, I think it was announced a little bit later. Of course, the thing is that in places like Colombia, it makes a lot of sense because, of course, cash is king, and a lot of people still believe in cash as the main, you know, currency used.
And make sure if you're answering a question to also say it, because not everyone is looking at the chat right now. Yeah, are you answering questions already, or are you still?
We are answering questions.
I was trying to follow
questions. The first question that Paulo answered was whether can we comment on the customer engagement for this bonus or the vouchers, and how are we reaching out to businesses, which is something that we had been doing since the beginning. And so like it's a business model that they had been seeing. It was a pivot that we shared with them and that they really liked. And then Matthias also said that this business, the initial business model was in direct competition with MoneyGram, which in a way would be in direct competition with any other remittance provider, and we understand that with the MoneyGram integration and Stellar. We did come about this before MoneyGram was integrated into the Stellar network. So we are looking also in the future to exploit and to leverage this integration. However, there are also some sort of technical difficulties with MoneyGram in Colombia, given that they don't have as much reach as some other remittance provisions would have. So that's why we still think that a betting on this solution with the different partners that we have been building till now will also benefit the network as well.
Like, just to clarify, Matthias, when you say some stats for outreach for the partnership network, like how many of the partners we actually reach out to, or like are they interested in the product? Like, would that be kind of the question? Yeah, okay. No, so I would say that generally in terms of like interest around the feature and the service, most partners we actually reach out to are interested. Of course, it varies the degree of bureaucratic process that the companies have to enable in order to integrate with you. So, for example, there are small sort of smaller, like kind of in that around 1,000 shops, companies that we reach out to in terms of like a volume of a number of shops. That is relatively fast and easy because they tend to be smaller, like corporation. Of course, there are some, just to give you an idea, more like on a very, very like much larger, especially for example, gas, you know, oil companies and things like this for gas station. They have a much more complicated bureaucratic process. Like we start, like let's say probably July, August last year, and we're getting there, like to sort of like a test MVP, but it takes a lot. Like, it takes a long time. That's why we wanted to start very early, so that when we were ready with the product from a tech standpoint, we will also be ready, you know, for this partnership to actually get tested. And that's crucial as well, because once you launch this kind of feature, we believe you need to achieve critical mass from the beginning. Like you cannot launch the voucher system and have just like a few sporadic shops here and there and not have like a wide coverage in the region, which is why like we really started even before developing the application to build this network. Like we really believe that the critical mass there is crucial.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I think like definitely some like that in-depth question. I see like competition is healthy, cooperation is good too, and that's what's great about Stellar. So like super excited to kind of see this like actually trying to navigate a competitive landscape, and interesting to hear too about MoneyGram being not as widespread in Colombia, and there can be some kind of opportunity there as well. So definitely looking into that, and yeah.
So I'm Willem. Been working with Soroban since November last year, and in particular working on but I've been working on this project SmartDeploy, and I'm actually going to start by introducing some other stuff that I've been working on that is very relevant to SmartDeploy. And it's this project called Loam, and basically it's trying to create a better SDK for writing smart contracts in Rust. So if you write it using Loam, then you can compile to Near or to Soroban. And in general, it just provides this abstraction that can let the SDK authors of the Soroban SDK write whatever they want, but then that's kind of hidden from the people writing it. So one of the key ideas of Loam is the idea of a riff, and it's basically a component of your contract that is lazily read in from storage. So you don't have to worry about writing, how to use storage. That's all handled by the SDK. So this is how you would say my contract is ownable, meaning it has these gets and set owner methods, and it's redeployable. It can be redeployed. The idea is if you have this base riff, then you can safely upgrade your contract, because only the owner can upgrade it. And then you want to make sure that whatever you upgrade into is also redeployable. So that's where SmartDeploy is going to come in. It's a solution for doing this initial publishing of contracts, but then if we have this base layer to ensure that the contracts themselves are redeployable, this is what the actual Soroban contract looks like. I have this way of hiding the fact that you passed the env that gets to set system global. But the idea is that like if you had, say, this status message contract, you can implement your own lazy riff, right? Because you have this into key trait, which basically handles the reading and writing from storage. And so that way you don't have to worry about running into the same storage as this owner component. But then that way you're guaranteed to have those methods and your new one. So it's a new kind of paradigm for trying to make contracts more composable and reuse different riffs, and like that's why I called it that, kind of like parts of a song. And so yeah, so this I can show you this. They just landed in the environment, the Soroban host environment, and the SDK is this ability to redeploy. So if I go to this trait, so this redeployable trait needs a something that at least is ownable, right? Because that's how we can be able to call get owner. But yeah, so this is the new method that was added. And so yeah, now it's possible. Before, every time you went to deploy a contract, you would have to throw away the one that you were working with and get a fresh one. Well, now with this, you can just pick a different hash, and your contract will reload. So you can check out this example of using it with the CLI. Is that basically I can take that base a contract that we were looking at, I can deploy it and set the owner for it, right? And the SmartDeploy will also handle this, right? Because now if all contracts have this owner set, that becomes the only thing you need to call to initialize it. And then this will print out the help for that contract, so you can see all the different arguments, the command line arguments that are the contract methods. And then here we're going to call redeploy, and this time I'm going to get the hash of the example contract status message we were looking at. So if I run this, then we should at the end see a different help message. So fingers crossed. All right, it's good, yeah. So So here was the initial contract, and it has that owner set and get method and that redeploy method. And then we called redeploy on it, and now here's this new contract, which has those two new methods. So I don't know how I'm doing on time. I can go back to looking at smart contracts, or at the SmartDeploy contract itself. I was going to show off using it on FutureNet, but for some reason, as tends to happen last minute, got some RPC error I've never seen before. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I like the background a lot. It seems like, we're all in the mushroom lands. That was really great. I think really doing a deep dive into what you've been working on. And obviously, we already have been receiving some technical issues. So, it must just be the day. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions? Morgan says, so basically, this is doing a proxy contract pattern under the hood.
Well, that's the beauty of the redeploy is that you don't need to have a proxy because the contract itself is already now, you get a contract ID, is a proxy to a specific hash. So, yeah, I mean, you can think about it like a proxy, but now it's just at the base layer, you can redeploy. I don't want to use the word upgrade because you can, redeploy to anything basically. And that's what's also nice about this little base contract because you can immediately kind of claim that contract and then upgrade like an app store sort of.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions? Also, Morgan and Silence. Morgan says the contract hash is different from a contract ID, right?
Yeah. So that's the contract hash is, when I say that, I mean the bytes, the actual WebAssembly that gets uploaded to the network, and then that hash is then the contract ID is then tied to that hash.
Awesome. And Silence asks, how about the first initialization function? Is there a way to run that automatically upon deploy now?
Yeah. So the SmartDeploy contract, which I can switch over to if we look at really quick, it has let's see if I can have the list of it. Yeah. So it provides methods here. Oh, it went away again. Yeah. For publishing like the binary of the contract to get the hash, but then also to do the deploy. So this will handle that deploy, and the goal is to also claim a name, so you can have a contract name instead of just an ID. And then yes, it'll automatically, when you do that deploy, set the owner.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Last question from Matthias. Is this an experiment with the goal of moving into a Soroban SDK? And we've got Tomer on the line too, I see. So
yeah, I think that there's certainly aspects of it that I think could be integrated into the SDK, but I think the main part is that it can create a separation of concerns so that the authors of the official SDK can make breaking changes that won't affect your experience.
Cool. This is really great. Does anyone have any more questions? Also, feel free to request to speak. Let me see. No? Oh, someone is typing. I'll wait a hot second. Let me see. Okay. Oh, it says your team. Awesome. Well, looks like there's no more questions. And if anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask them either like here, like Morgan says, great job. So super excited for this. Really make sure to post your progress in the SmartDeploy individual project channel on the project's forum channel. So yeah, super excited to see what's next. So
yeah. So my name is Braulio. I'm the CTO of CashAbroad, where we are working to do abroad payments as easy as with locals. And we are very happy to be here today with you and share more about what we are doing and how we are doing it. So CashAbroad, it's a payment platform in which we want to allow businesses to do their payments, to move the money from point A to point B. And this is some of the features that we are working on and that we are developing right now, which are automatic payments, mass payments, role and approvals, multi-fee with a percentage in which the companies can set a different percentage per each of their locations, smart integrations with accounting, send and request of money. We are working right now in something that we see very important, that it's the public goods, which I will talk more about that in a minute, and also an API so that you can integrate the CashAbroad platform into your payments gateway. And what we are seeing is that we want to tap on the liquidity of B2B transactions and to fund public goods in our process. So I will just show you how this may look like and explain how we think about this. So in general, a business will make a payment from business A to business B, and the payment will be done in this flow. And after that, we are also integrating WhatsApp, so we are happy about that. They will receive a message, and the company will have a transaction screen where they will be able to see the transaction, the amounts, and the status of each of their payments. They will also have a screen with the contacts where they can add new suppliers or vendors or employees, see the category and the different currencies that they can pay. So that in this example, we have not just only persons as employees, but also companies as, for example, CFE, which is electricity here in Mexico, and the currencies in the right. Also with which payment method it was paid, and a category that in this example are companies, groups, freelancers, and several other types of groups. They will also have a place where they can see all the payment methods. In this case, we have some bank cards, but it can also include a wallet, which is built within the onboarding flow, which is a Stellar wallet. And also we will be adding more and more payment methods so that we can make this flow easier for our users. And in general, how it will look like, this is an example of a company making a payment. And in this example, we are working with a fitness gym which has several stores in different countries, Mexico, Argentina, and Colombia. And they want a payment method that can be used for all their users in their left, so that they can pay in their different locations, and all the money is received at the end in their account in US currency. So the idea is that they can pay from the different countries in their platform of fitness gym, use our payment gateway, and then we first will convert the fiat to crypto through the anchors of Stellar, and then we will use the Soroban smart contract to distribute this money in 3 ways. In this example, one is a percentage for the fitness gym, which is the amount they paid, one as a percentage for public goods, and one is the percentage of the fee of CashAbroad. And then the fitness will receive that in their wallet, which is of course for Stellar, and then we will make an off-ramp for them so that they can use also again fiat. I will just jump to the demo super quick. Here it is. So in this example, I want to show you how we create a contract. I have already created a contract with Soroban, which is this one. If I have time, I will create a new one. So the idea that we are having is that we create an agreement first with the fitness gym. And this agreement, they use us as a platform for the payment. And we agree that they want to support some initiative or fund some public goods. When we do that agreement, we create a smart contract for them. In this case, as in this example, we create this smart contract. And then we need to do the steps to use this smart contract. We need to initialize it. Just so for make it faster, we already do this process. So here, we initialize the contract with the init function. And basically, we are setting up all the wallets that will receive the money. So from the gym user, it will reach the gym business as one of the wallets. The water public good and the CashAbroad. So here are the wallets of each of these. And we will use in this example the token ID of a native token of XLM. Then we will increase the allowance of the user. So we do it
A little
that.
time warning? Time warning? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And at the end, we will do the withdrawal, which is this one, which this withdrawal will distribute the money from the gym user to the gym business and also to the water public good and the CashAbroad wallet. So basically, that's how it works, and we are very happy to hear your questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for presenting. This is really, really great. I think also like most of this was made during the bootcamp, right? What you're showing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that was everything.
Yes. Awesome.
So I will start answering the questions. The first one is from Matthias. I don't want to be pessimistic in the room, but why would anyone choose to use this wallet for payments instead of just using one to pay directly to a business? Are you offering a lower fee than your competitors to cover for the public good fee? Yeah, that's actually a good question. And we think that companies and also people is moving more towards more sustainable philosophy in the way of lifestyle and also in the selection of which companies they use. So we see that CashAbroad, it's helping the companies in the sustainable development goals to distribute money to the countries. So that's why we think users will choose us, because they will not only make normal payments, but they will also be contributing in a more green company that make their payments with us. The other question is from Silence, how would you handle if the payment being withdrawn is going to a wallet that doesn't have trust line, since that is using a SAC? Also, each user wallet needs to make their respective withdrawals to outs. Yeah, that's actually a good question. We are still working on how we will do with the trust line. This is an MVP that we have right now, and we see that for the moment, we will work on how to enable this distribution of money within the Soroban contract. But certainly during these months, we are working on how to make the authorization and talking about also how we will enable these trust lines. So yeah, that's something that we have in our scope to work on. And finally, I think that's still currently assume that's the storage you want.
No, I think that is off another one. Yeah, that's half another question I was answering. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Braulio and Ruth. Like, this was amazing. Like, really, like, I think like the progress has been so much, and there's so much still like left to kind of like figure out, as we see here for the trust lines. I'm definitely keeping an eye out. We are a bit on time.
Great, yeah. So very excited to share this project with you all. I agree, it's a mouthful. We should probably find a shorter name for it, but what we aim to do is, or what we feel like we've done is built an efficient scaling mechanism for Lattice-Based post-quantum digital signatures. So before we dive into this scaling mechanism, maybe we'll just prime ourselves on the differences between pre and post-quantum cryptography. So pre-quantum crypto is most of what we use today. These are crypto systems that are built that rely on mathematical problems that are assumed to be difficult for these classical computers to solve, but are not necessarily difficult for quantum computers to solve. So most of the problems that we rely on in these crypto systems are factorization of large numbers. This is found in the RSA, public key crypto system, and the discrete logarithm problem, which underpins elliptic curve cryptography. And then in the post-quantum realm, we essentially swap out these problems in these crypto systems to problems that are assumed to be difficult or not known to be efficiently solvable by quantum computers. So we pull on problems from lattice-based cryptography and hash-based cryptography. Those two fields of cryptography are where the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US has pulled from to standardize these US government post-quantum algorithms. and also what we decided to use to underpin our efficient scaling mechanism. But the problem is that with these post-quantum primitives, they come at a cost. So if we look at this graph down here, we have the so you could look at the public key and the signature, but in a blockchain, you only store the public key once, and then the signature is used to sign every transaction. So you're looking at the post-quantum algorithm that has the smallest signature. So ECDSA here is on the left. This is the pre-quantum. This is what we use right now. And these three on the right are what the US government has standardized for post-quantum digital signature algorithms. Then of the three, you see that the Falcon has the smallest signature size. And so we think that this is going to be the most affordable to implement in blockchains. And so what our scaling mechanism does is it takes these signatures and then we try to make them even smaller. So this is what we call signature aggregation, where we essentially aggregate a series or several post-quantum digital signatures, and specifically Falcon, and then our method also generalizes to other lattice-based signature schemes. So this would also include dilithium in the previous slide. So signature aggregation is, again, this kind of like rolling up of signatures into an aggregate signature. This reduces the overhead of storing one signature per transaction, and this will overall reduce the size of blocks on a blockchain. And so what we aim to do, what we aim to do is essentially just keep everything the way that it is, but then just kind of roll up these signatures into an aggregate signature in order to publish back to an L1. So our implementation of this is called PQ Scale, and this is, for now, it's just a remote signature aggregation service that we're building on top of Stellar. Under the hood, it's really a post-quantum ZK snark to prove or it's actually just really a snark. It doesn't have the zero-knowledge properties. But it proves the computation of aggregating several digital signatures into one signature. This is our construction here, which is this is in the paper that is actually published on our project page on Stellar. And these are some of the initial results that we have. We've actually since improved on these. So I think our latest result, we were able to aggregate over just over 1,700 signatures and have an 11x improvement ratio, or I guess like compression ratio over the standard over the size of adding up all the individual signatures. And then what we've also built is this block explorer. So we actually started out by deploying our own L1 to test this PQ scale in a blockchain environment. And that's just this little thing here. So this shows that like a bunch of signatures pertaining to different transactions get rolled up into this aggregate signature, which gets posted back to the block. So what we're doing on Stellar is building, as we said, a remote service to sign, aggregate, and then also query the status of this aggregation of these post-quantum digital signatures. So this is something that our team is building out. We've designed the API architecture and have already implemented most of this. And our next step now is to connect this back to Stellar, which we aim to do as just like launching our own node and starting to send these transactions to this node to then get pushed to this remote service to be signed, aggregated, and then pushed back to Stellar. But if anybody has input here on like how we can more closely integrate this with Stellar, we'd really appreciate having those conversations. Some applications or potential applications of this is it's very similar to this BLS aggregation used heavily in the Ethereum community. BLS signature aggregation is used, for example, or if they want it to be used in like proof of stake, where every validator is signing the same message in order to essentially to get it incorporated back to the blockchain. And so in order to authenticate who signed this, every validator will need to sign, and then the goal here is to aggregate all the signatures into an aggregate signature. But then the problem with this BLS signature is that it's pre-quantum. But then you see this type of signature aggregation occurring all over the Ethereum ecosystem. And then another idea is to potentially launch like a layer 2 on Stellar. But what we would like to call layer Q to be this like kind of quantum canary network or test bed where we can start experimenting with some of these post-quantum primitives to basically start seeing what it will take to scale and decentralize the Stellar community. Yeah, and that's pretty much the presentation. So happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was very in-depth. I think a lot of people are definitely glued to the screen to follow along with what you're saying. So definitely people super interested in this. Looks like, let me see, since every layer, so Morgan asks, since every layer 1 I know relies on ECC, for example, Stellar uses ED at 25519, when does this become a problem that would require a change?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about the ED25519 curve. I assume that it's really just elliptic curve cryptography under the hood, which means that it's still vulnerable to the same discrete log problem, which there's an efficient quantum algorithm for. So there are variants, like essentially, I imagine it would be vulnerable. I don't think that the difference in curve would introduce too many complexities into the underlying problem of solving discrete log. But when is a really good question. It's hard to say. I mean, it depends on the development of quantum computers. But what we're looking to is the, I guess, standardization processes that are happening around the world. So the US has already launched and started to standardize these post-quantum algorithms. So I think people realize that it's time to start taking this problem a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, you gotta prepare for what's coming, right? Like better prepare than, find out and then nothing works anymore. And then, it takes a lot of work to actually shift. Yeah, a little scary, but hey, as long as we work to actually work towards preventing or preparing ourselves, that will be it's a good thing. So I mean,
a lot of research and a lot of effort, but I think that's why we want to start early.
Yeah, definitely. Matthias asked, this might be on the project channel, but what's the team size?
Yeah, so we have about just under 30 people on our team, but then it's not everybody works on this. Probably a core team size of about 10 to 15 who contribute to this. But yeah, it's still quite a significant effort.
Awesome. And and also I saw you worked with multiple, I guess, chains as well. In terms of Stellar ecosystem, are you interested in working also with other projects in the future or getting input?
Other projects within the Stellar community ecosystem? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the use cases here is CBDC, which as I understand Stellar is I guess is well suited for. So we would love to chat with any CBDC projects. And why not build an L1? So we really just focus on the cryptography side. We aren't really blockchain devs. We do our best, but that's a whole nother beast. So we just want to focus on what we're good at and then integrate into existing blockchain projects.
Awesome. I saw Lee typing. Lee, do you want to say something? I invite you to speak. Sorry, I put people on the spot.
Yeah, Matthias pretty much summed it up.
Okay, Lee's typing. All right, I'll wait a minute. But yeah, this is really interesting, definitely. Let me see. In terms of CBDCs, those will be central banks, so not really SCF projects, working on those. But definitely, as you kind of build out, happy to connect you and kind of learn more about Stellar ecosystem and how Stellar works. And maybe upon finishing your project, definitely see if that makes sense to bring you in touch with someone from our team.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We're definitely looking for input where we can.
Yeah, keep us posted on your progress. All right, Lee actually said you might be interested in this conversation about BLS on Soroban, so check it out.
Would be interested.
Awesome. Any more questions, anyone? Looks like we're a bit over time too. People are typing. Well, in any case, I'm gonna call the day because we are already a bit over time. Oh, okay. Last question. I'll let Matthias in. Let me see. Any connection to academia on this? MIT, Berkeley?
Yeah. So our chief cryptographer was a PhD at Harvard. But then, yeah, I guess so. We've all done this under our company BTQ, but we do collaborate with universities, namely Macquarie University in Australia, but that's kind of a little bit unrelated, and then some universities in Taiwan where most of us are based. But all of this research is really done in-house.
Awesome. Well, super excited to learn more. Are you in Taiwan as well? Isn't it like very late?
Yeah, I'm based out of Taiwan. I'm currently in Switzerland though.
Oh, okay, so it's not that bad. Okay, good.
Mhm.
All right. Well, super excited to have you on and talk a bit about this. Hopefully, obviously, I think the future, we have AI coming up. There's a lot of things changing right now. So kind of being ahead of the curve, it's important. It's also a large challenge, right? So definitely good luck and keep us in touch and make sure to publish some updates in the project channel. And so let us know when we can get involved and test things and check it out. All right. Well, there are some more questions there in the chat, so you can get to it. But for now, I thank everyone for being part of these project pitches. It has not been without technical difficulties, to my regret. We'll figure out a solution for next time. But in the meantime, make sure to check out the project channels. It's like if you have to make sure that that you have the community fund role. You can get this in the welcome channel, and then you can actually check out the project channel. I'm just gonna post it here real quick. So get into the projects channel. Thank you so much to all the teams. Morgan says a great job to every team that did this. It's, obviously not everyone presents every day, so super excited that there's an opportunity now. Thank you so much, audience, for answering, asking questions and giving feedback and engaging. Yeah, well, Resonance says, great job rolling with all the punches. I try my best, I'm on it. Next time will be even better. So thank you so much. Have a good day, and yeah, I'll see you back for next time. Bye, everyone.